Well, good morning, and thank you for being here. Sorry for the late start. My apologies. Appreciate your presence. And I'm Rob Bonta, California Attorney General, and I'm joined here today by Cal Stanley, President and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Oakland. And we are here today to talk about illegal and unregulated cannabis products that are being packaged to look like brands and foods we all know and love. They come in packaging that looks like things you might buy every day, but these aren't Doritos, these are not Sour Patch Kids, these are not Oreos. They are unregulated and untested cannabis products sold by unlicensed manufacturers and marketed to underage Californians. While these products may look like the real deal, they often contain dangerously high levels of THC and may be made with highly toxic synthetic cannabinoids. A copycat bag of Doritos, for example, and there's one here on our visual, boasts an unverified 600 milligrams of THC in a single bag, for far over the legal limit in California, particularly for packages that are not child resistant. These copycats create a serious danger for a whole host of community members, for underage teens who may be lured into entering the illegal cannabis market because of the fun packaging and appeal, for young kids who might not know what they are ingesting, and for adults who might be consuming an untested and unregulated product. So these are highly risky and something we need to be aware of and very careful of. That's why today I'm issuing a consumer alert, warning Californians of cannabis-infused edibles that are being packaged and sold as copycat versions of popular food and candy products. While cannabis-infused edibles packaged to look like our favorite brands may seem harmless and fun, the dangers of consuming these unregulated and untested products are high, particularly for children and for teens. California has a safe and legal and regulated cannabis market, and it's important to only purchase legal products and to keep all forms of cannabis away from children. In recent years, we've seen an uptick, unfortunately, in the number of children requiring hospital care after ingesting cannabis edibles, as well as an increase in kids as young as 12 who are intentionally using these products. There are three things we can all do to keep our kids, family, and community safe. 1, know how to identify look-alike products. 2, know the health risks. And 3, report illegal products. When it comes to identifying look-alike products, here's what you should be mindful of. Consider the branding. If you see a major candy or food brand selling a cannabis product, it's almost certainly an illegal copycat. No major candy or food companies manufacture or sell cannabis or CBD products. Consider the retail location. Cannabis-infused edible products that are being made to mimic major brands are primarily sold online or at unlicensed shops. Make sure you are shopping only at a legal cannabis retailer. Look for the universal symbol. And let me pull that up for you. You can see that right here. That's the universal symbol that we all need to be aware of. Let me knock the microphone off. So have a look at that. In California, legal cannabis products must be affixed with this symbol. While some copycats are using it illegally, if you do not see the universal symbol, the product is illegal and it may be dangerous. The second thing we can all do to keep our kids, family, and community safe is to be aware of the health risks of illegal cannabis products. Illegal products present a risk to public health and safety. Here in California last year, there were 1,173 calls to the Poison Control Center for services related to children ingesting cannabis products. This is up from 404 calls in 2016, with the biggest increase to children ages 0 to 5. Our kids are ingesting illicit cannabis products. After ingesting illicit cannabis products, are ending up in our emergency rooms and intensive care units. Additionally, for both adults and kids, illegal synthetic products, including highly toxic ones, may pose additional health risks, including rapid heart rate, vomiting, breathing difficulty, and even psychosis. If you suspect your child has accidentally consumed illicit cannabis products, monitor them for symptoms and call California's Poison Control at their 24-hour hotline at 1-800-222-1222. And finally, the third step we can all take to keep our families and community safe is to report illegal products. Manufacturing and selling of cannabis-infused edible products made to look like major foods and candy brands is illegal. If you see these products on the market, please file a complaint with our office at www.oag.ca.gov/report and with Department of Cannabis Control. We all have a role to play in keeping our communities safe. With the legal and regulated cannabis market in place, there is no reason to purchase any form of illicit cannabis. From Stony Patch Kids to Trips Ahoy. Illegal cannabis products can be highly toxic, their THC levels unverified, and their packaging can pose a risk to your children's safety. Here in California, again, we have a safe, a regulated, and a legal cannabis industry. But if a product is marketed to children, mimics a well-known consumer brand, or advertises sky-high levels of THC, it's not likely to be part of our legal market. Watch out for these products and report them when you see them. Thank you, and I'd now like to turn it over to Cal Stanley, President and CEO of the Oakland Boys and Girls Club. Thank you.
Good morning, and everyone. It's my honor to welcome you here to Boys and Girls Clubs of Oakland. I appreciate the Attorney General's gracious introduction. I've been President and CEO of Boys and Girls Clubs of Oakland for 30 years, which is out of my 42 years of youth development work. And every now and then something like this comes along, so we have to take a stand. Our clubs help young people to become positive contributors to society, and that's been our mission since 1938. So it's my honor to join Attorney General Rob Bonta today and lend my support as an advocate for our young people to help raise awareness about this, the manufacturing, marketing, and selling of unregulated copycat cannabis edibles. Kids can find this. Kids can and will find it. Murphy's Law is in effect. In these tough times, Boys and Girls Clubs are here for our kids and their families, and so we have to take a stand now to raise awareness, to do something about this, which is clearly to introduce young people to this and an accident waiting to happen. Clearly, these are wolves in sheep's clothing. So again, it's our honor to stand here with the Attorney General to help raise awareness of this problem and request your help. Thank you.
Well, thank you. If we have any questions, we're happy to answer them. Yes, sir. Well, thank you for your question. The question is, where are these products being sold? And they're not being sold in legal dispensaries, for one. They are being sold online based on the information we have available to us, also at illicit retailers who are not regulated, who are not licensed. Again, look for this symbol. This is the symbol of a legal cannabis retailer and legal cannabis business. If you don't see this, that's a big red flag. So to your question, should we not be selling online at all? I don't think that we need to take that step. I think it's possible to sell through online means in a way that's regulated, that's safe. The regulated marketplace has a lot of different outlets to get to those who are seeking access to it. Some it's retail, some it's delivery, some it's brick and mortar, and some it can be over the internet. So we need to make sure that we're always following the regulations, the rules, that there's compliance. And I would not say we need to throw out all online access, but we do need to be careful and vigilant when those who are using the online retailers are shopping, so that they make sure that it's from a regulated, safe, healthy business in California. Yeah. Copycat cannabis products are not new, unfortunately, but there have recently been certain forms that have come to our attention that are disturbing and worrying and concerning. And based on our role in the Department of Justice as the California Attorney General, a role which is to stand up for everyday people, protect consumer rights, honor, and defend and protect civil rights, constitutional rights, we felt it was necessary to make people aware of new products that are on the market that we've been recently informed of that could be a danger or a risk to children. So not a new phenomenon, but these specific products we are newly aware of and wanted to issue our consumer alert to make sure that others are on guard and vigilant as they interact with the cannabis marketplace. So the question is there a worry that in a household something like this could be unwittingly left around the home, and a child not knowing what it is could ingest it? That's a possible scenario. And so we need to be careful. There are many other scenarios as well, but there is confusion when you have copycat products like that. Like this, there are the possibility of mistaking a safe non-cannabis product for an unsafe cannabis product. So being aware and being on guard and being vigilant is the first step. And so awareness and information and facts that we're providing today will help avoid scenarios like the one you've just described. Are there any? So we can't comment on any pending or ongoing or potential investigations. I will say we're monitoring this, and we are concerned about the possible detrimental impacts on California's community, including our children. And so we wanted to make the public aware of the existence of these products, so the public can be on guard and vigilant. As to any ongoing or pending or potential investigation, we can't comment on that right now. What's the punishment? So let me just reemphasize that we have a regulated, legal cannabis marketplace. It's designed, and I was personally involved in the efforts to have a legal, regulated, safe marketplace that's healthy, that's good for the environment, that is safe for children. And there are rules that need to be followed. When they're not followed, there's certainly the potential for enforcement, both civil and criminal. And we've been involved at the California Department of Justice with our CAMP program to make sure that we are investigating the potential and possibility and reality of illicit cannabis businesses. And we have seized and eradicated, I think it's 1.2 million pounds of cannabis over this past year. So there are many repercussions and consequences for the illegal sale of cannabis. Yeah, so it varies. The key area for confusion is the packaging. The packages look very similar, and if you don't look closely, it's hard to tell the difference. So that's where the danger is. That's where the sort of the confusion could be. The products inside don't always look like the non-cannabis products. The Fruity Pebbles might not look like the Fruity Pebbles in the cannabis edible might not look like normal Fruity Pebbles, but it's the packaging where the confusion starts. Sometimes they do look the same, but oftentimes not in the actual edible. And we're talking edibles here, specifically about edible cannabis products. Hard to get into the head of those who design these packages. The part that we're focusing on is the impact, potentially very detrimental and unsafe and unhealthy to our community members. And so that's what we want to, that's why we're issuing this consumer alert, and that's why we're sharing this information with the public. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Rob Bonta, California Attorney General, and thank you for joining us and spending time with us today. Today, I met with local labor leaders and farm worker advocacy organizations, and we had an important discussion, and it was helpful to hear directly from folks on the ground regarding different struggles and challenges, and to learn about many of the issues that our essential workers, who we rely on so heavily, are facing and have faced during the height of this pandemic, and to hear more about the issues that remain and to chart some paths forward and identify solutions. I was really moved by the stories that were being told of the lack of enforcement of key laws and regulations that are there to protect workers, the feelings of disempowerment by the workers who find it so hard to navigate a difficult government process, the need for in-language services, more partnership, and perhaps additional communication from my office to some of the growers to make sure that there are appropriate reminders of all of the rules and regulations and requirements and obligations that should be followed. So a lot of important takeaways, and a lot of the stories that came out came from a very raw place, emotional and painful, personal, and certainly powerful as well. So very appreciative of the opportunity to hear directly from those on the ground doing the work. And for me, from my perspective, I'm no stranger to the struggles and challenges of farm workers. It's part of my family's history, part of the proud legacy that I have in my family. My parents were United Farm Workers of America advocates and farm worker organizers. I spent my early childhood years in La Paz, the headquarters of the UFW movement, living in a trailer, stone's throw away from the home of Cesar Chavez with my brother and sister, mom and dad. They worked for the movement. My dad set up healthcare clinics for farm workers. My mom worked in the preschool. And later, as a legislator, was able to work side by side with my recently former colleague and good friend, Dr. Joaquin Arambula, to provide, to vote for laws that continue to support and uplift our farm workers. And while the farm labor movement was my parents' fight, it would be wrong to think that it's a fight of the past. It's a fight that is necessary to continue to wage and commit to today. The fight for workplace safety, improved working conditions, and fair wages, that's a fight of today. And we've heard stories and we've read news reports of elderly Filipino grandmothers picking grapes in extreme heat as they breathe toxic pesticides and dust into their lungs. We heard of young Latino fathers and pregnant mothers denied their full earned wages after a full day's work. We've heard of working folks from all walks of life exposed to the COVID-19 virus and then days later incubated on a ventilator. And we can't shy away from these hard truths. We have to confront them. Too many of our agricultural workers are the victims of unfair conditions, of discrimination, of harassment, and wage theft. And too many are denied basic rights, from equal pay to a safe and healthy workplace. So there's much that remains to be done to realize the promise of dignity for all workers, and at the California Department of Justice, we're committed to doing that work. That's why the DOJ recently launched our Worker Rights and Fair Labor section, a team of skilled attorneys focused on addressing systemic business practices that undermine the working conditions of California's most vulnerable low-wage workers. And our work, it doesn't stop there. This summer, I proudly led a coalition of 17 attorneys general urging Congress to pass the PRO Act, urgently needed legislation the Senate must pass to improve the lives and working conditions of our nation's working families, including those in the field. And I am enforcing California's nation-leading labor laws, going after bad actors who cheat workers out of wages and exploit workers in the underground economy. I'm supporting the right to return ordinances to help workers return to their jobs after being laid off during the pandemic. And we're also doing important work in support of our workers, like vigorously continuing to prosecute our driver misclassification lawsuit against Uber and Lyft. So from farm workers, to firefighters, drivers, to dishwashers, working folks know where I stand, and that is alongside them. But there's still much more to be done, as we heard today, and we've gotten good insight about the map and the pathway forward. Again, the farm labor movement was my parents' fight, but it is also mine, and I recommit to it, and I'm proud to stand side by side with the next generation of this movement and to reaffirm a simple yet a powerful idea that working people in solidarity can change the world. And so with that sentiment, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I look forward to the work ahead. I'm thankful for all the incredible leaders standing with me here to make the progress that is needed and that the workers in our farms throughout California deserve. Thank you very much. And with that, I will turn it over to Assemblymember Joaquin Arambula.
Thank you very much, and what a privilege it is to have a constitutional officer right here in the Central Valley. So again, I just want to take a moment and thank my friend and former colleague, Attorney General Rob Bonta, for taking the time and coming and hearing from us firsthand. In the wake of going through the pandemic of the century, which our immigrant communities bore the brunt of during this pandemic, it's imperative for us to turn around and now hear from our same immigrant communities about how we can strengthen the system so we can improve outcomes in the future. It is through many of the trusted groups who are behind us now, from CBDIO to Líderes Campesinas to UFW to the Jacara movement, that we will be able to capture the immigrant voice and be able to stand up for those who are most vulnerable in our communities. But it takes the time and willingness to be able to listen, and I'm grateful that the Attorney General is able to carve out time in his busy schedule to come down here to the Valley to hear our stories firsthand. That is how we will be able to effectively make a difference going forward. It's through those partnerships and collaborations, and I look forward to the continued conversation. Next, we will hear from Deep Singh, who's the Executive Director of the Jacara movement. Deep?
Buenas tardes, Sat Sri Akal, good afternoon. You know, we had an opportunity today to have a conversation with some of the critical organizations throughout the Central Valley that are really uplifting, amplifying, and supporting workers, whether they be in the fields, whether they be in the factories, but making sure that those voices are centered and those voices are heard. You know, we're coming through a pandemic where often we've been told about the importance of essential workers, but as a worker told me, more often than not, we've been treated as we're expendable. We've been extremely appreciated and humbled to have Attorney General Bonta with us to really listen, share his own story, and actually just know the impact that these kind of conversations have for him and the direction he seeks to take his office. Dr. Arambula has always been a champion for workers' voices here in the Central Valley, and we were honored to have him part of this conversation as well. What we're hoping to do is form new possibilities, new partnerships, and talk about new programs that we can bring forward, really to bring a California that is inclusive of all and that works for the dignity of all workers. I want to extend my appreciation and my gratitude for all of them joining us, and next give you Irene de Barusiev, the Director of Operations for Líderes Campesinas.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It has been a great and wonderful experience to be able to be in this roundtable today, alongside some great advocates, trusted messengers, and be able to discuss some of the aligned struggles, not only throughout the pandemic, right, but longstanding issues that have really been brought to light throughout this crisis. And so being able to be in the presence of Attorney General Bonta and have him learn from all of us and us learn from him is something, a sign of hope, right? And something key that I take from this meeting today is, as all of us have been out communicating to those underrepresented communities, rural community members, farm workers, it's not just work in communicating to them, but also communication to those in charge, right? Those leaders, those representatives at local government levels, those at the top, the employers, the growers, improving communication with those representatives. And so I really appreciated hearing that those will be some of the next steps and efforts that will be made. So thank you very much. And I'm sorry, I'm introducing Heriberto Fernandez of the UFW.
I knew I was next. Heriberto Fernandez with UFW Foundation. You know, from one son of farm workers to the next, to Attorney General Bonta, who's also a son of farm workers, it fills me with a lot of joy and pride and encouragement to hear the role that he is taking and will be taking in ensuring that farm workers also have access to the same economic opportunities and protections and rights that so many other people who are not farm workers currently enjoy. I'm so grateful to have heard from him, from his testimonies and from other people's testimonies about our collective will to ensure that farm workers overcome the systemic barriers that keep them from enjoying a lot of the protections that they deserve. And so I'm very grateful to the Chicara movement for hosting us and for other people here who join us in solidarity in ensuring that farm workers' voices are heard at the state capitol and also at the Attorney General's office. Thank you so much.